Your deal. The Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kid stealing, wheeling dealing, limousine riding, jet flying, son of a gun, and I'm having a hard time holding these alligators.
You're talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kid stealing, wheeling dealing, limo jet flying. We Ric Flairing on them niggas. We Ric Flairing on them niggas. You talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kid stealing, wheeling dealing, limo jet flying. We Ric Flairing on them niggas. Check, we Ric Flairing on them niggas. It's apparent these girls staring. I'm Ric Flairing, gold across my chest. I'm fresh to death, I'm Paul Bearing, not at all scary. One eye open like Betty Watch, then find to these circles that's going in like a carry shot. I'm going in like a Mary Pop off that Mary Crop at the top flow at the Marriott. So questioning me is like questioning you. See, we the best dressed, so come and get blessed with the crew. Not one but two, different ways to slaughter your crew. Committed tat across the chest, I guess she blessed with the truth. People wanna see them checks, representation of proof. Living through my elders, trying to resonate to the youth. But ain't nothing to get my flash on. Longevity is heavily embedded in my melanin. Layman terms, I last long. My grind repetitive, I'm smoother than real silk. Lyrical cash cow who can't cry over spilled milk. We in here. You're talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, limo jet flying. We Ric Flairing on them niggas. We Ric Flairing on them niggas. You talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, limo jet flying. We Ric Flairing on them niggas. We Ric Flairing on them niggas. This ain't no normal situation, this preparation with greatness. Industry full of fakeness, it's really up for the taking. See, life is what happened to you, more so how you take it. Don't get stripped of your knowledge and mentally leave you naked. I like to live otherwise. I'm sorry that I'm fresh to death. I put the polo and apologize. See, black son, we ain't nothing like them other guys. Quit to socialize, we organize, then we mobilize. Off the deep end like a scuba diver. And no confusion, just keep it pushing like Uber drivers. Business fresh just like a supervisor in a Gucci visor. Can't find a smoother rhymer. You're talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, limo jet flying. We Ric Flairing on them niggas. We Ric Flairing on them niggas. You talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, limo jet flying. We Ric Flairing on them niggas. We Ric Flairing on them niggas.
Yeah, DQ baby. Shout out that boy Nigga for that fire track. Hey, Black Sun, sun up. What's up, Vinny Vegas? What in Vegas? Yeah. Shout out Pharaoh's Kids, D-Phase, yeah, Bubba C, yeah, Ric Flairing on them, Ric Flairing on them, Ric Flairing on them, Ric Flairing, son up, baby.
Yo, DJ.
Are you done mixing yet?
Your deal.
EQ la old school, la Sam. Check. Look. Black Sun. Too easy. Gotta keep it pimpin'. Look. Check. Drop a deuce in my armor palmer. Now I'm moving slow like your mama's mama. Vega full of that marijuana. I'm in full effect, it's no cause for drama. Presidential, my weed, man. You think my Kush man was Barack Obama? Swing around, niggas flag me down. I need a couple grands when they see my Honda. Been there and then done that. Kick a flow, you can't run back. Crown Royal, my cognac. Fucked up and I'm on it. Oh yeah. Disapprove of my tennis shoes. Now I pick and choose like it's win or lose. Want them J's? I'ma go online. I don't wait in line. I ain't the type of dude. Dressed fresh like Steve Harvey, rolling Bob Marley, watching Family Feud. Reading a book on Marcus Garvey, might tell you something that you never knew. Fuck the judge in McLennan County, 31 weeks I had the county blues. Shout out to my Uncle Bubba, had the Boss Caprice and it was candy blue. The other week I saw a blue Ferrari, was a white boy, it drove right by me. Told myself when my album drop, I swear the whole world gon' know about me. 25 from the east side and got my mindset on the red Audi. Dropping paper like Waco trips, where my Waco niggas gon' read about it. Been there and then done that. Kick a flow, you can't run back. Crown Royal, my cognac. Fucked up and I'm on it. Oh yeah. Disapprove of my pimpin' moves, now I pick and choose like it's win or lose. Bad bitch, she on me. Fucked up and I'm on it. Say I been there, I done that. Kick a flow, you can't run back. Crown Royal, my cognac. Fucked up and I'm on it. Oh yeah. Disapprove of my pimpin' moves, now I pick and choose like it's win or lose. Bad bitch, she on me. Fucked up and I'm on it. I done been there and I done that shit. I done been there and I done that shit. I done been there and I done that shit. I done been there and I done that. On 35 and this 420, fresh out of jail, about to roll a L. First blunt of the fucking day and it's 10 o'clock and I'm mad as hell. Got work at midnight, so I ignite and I take sail. Can't survive off what I scribe in my government job, it pays well. On the highway in an old mood, jamming old school, I'm just an old dude in a young body. Finna knock down this little young hottie, cooking soul food, I'm so smooth. Silk draws couldn't fuck with me. She blowin' my pop, but I'm sucker free. You paying for the drop, but I fuck for free. Lucky me. Been there and then done that. Kick a flow, you can't run back. Crown Royal, my cognac. Fucked up and I'm on it. Oh yeah. Disapprove of my pimpin' moves, now I pick and choose like it's win or lose. Bad bitch, she on me. Fucked up and I'm on it. Say I been there and then done that. Kick a flow, you can't run back. Crown Royal, my cognac. Fucked up and I'm on it. Oh yeah. Disapprove of my pimpin' moves, now I pick and choose like it's win or lose. Bad bitch, she on me. Fucked up and I'm on it. I done been there and I done this shit. I done been there and I done this shit. I done been there and I done this shit. I done been there and I done this shit.
You're gonna dig this.
We see what you're doing, we salute you. Hey, let's get it started. It's Backpack Capital One. What's in your wallet? Got a call from my man A. Scott. I said I got it. Love that you highlighting all of these black colleges. Try to pay me for doing this. Look, bruh, if you don't get off my line with that foolishness, voice of the swag, pull up where you at, no cap. If the Brody is speaking the soft facts, my advice, tune in to every show. Captain Petty, but we know that the sergeants are with the smoke. Speculate, just tell me what is we doing. Get into it, okay, look, I'ma say this and keep it moving. My boy Scotty, man, he off of the leash. Black grad, paying college, I'm glad that he called me. Walk it, cause we all been taught that talk is cheap. Even primetime knows Scott for the HBCU streets.
Woo! We are back. We are live. You know, it's this boy Scotty. You watching Off Script Live. All right, now listen. This is what you've been waiting for. Listen, this is what you've been waiting for. I have been promoting this one for like a week and a half. I've been promoting this one. And listen, I need the likes to go up and the subs to go up because listen, all I was hearing was people complaining about how HBCU players get overlooked, how this, how that, ooh, this or that. I went and got a scout. I said, listen, we need to know the official of how they are breaking this thing down. So I went and got you a scout. That's what I do. You ask, I gotta go get it. Now, real quick, this is the last interview of the week. I will be in Jackson, Mississippi for the Deion Sanders prospect camp. I get there Thursday. If you want to look up with me, hit me up in my Instagram. I will be at the camp on Friday. Come holler at me, say what's up. I'll be there. All right, now let's get into it. Now, I told you I was going to get to the bottom of all that talk, right? Case in point, today my guest has a total of 18 years in scouting and player development. All right? That's older than some of the players watching this stream right now. I'm just saying. He has scouted for teams such as Atlanta Falcons, Tennessee Titans, the Chicago Bears, the Cleveland Browns. He has over 7 years of evaluating pro players for pro personnel department. God, that's a lot of piece. Over 5 seasons of scouting and evaluating and projecting college prospects for the NFL draft, and 5 seasons of recruiting operations and roster management at the Power 5 level of college football. Please give it up today for my guest, Mr. James Kirkland. How you doing, Mr. James?
I'm good, man. What's going on?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm solid, man. Just, taking it all in. Like, I appreciate the intro. It was smooth. I appreciate it.
Hey, listen, I'm just reading off your bio. That's the work you done put in. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you have done it all.
I've been fortunate, man. I got a chance to do a little bit of everything. In this football thing, got a chance to do pro scouting, college scouting, and then be able to, the last 5 years to be able to do some college recruiting and roster management, all that kind of stuff. So, I've had an opportunity to do quite a bit, man, and it's been rewarding. Tackle football has been a big part of my life. So to be able to kind of carve out a career in it has been cool. It's been real cool.
Awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah.
Now, I usually start all my interviews off with a little start bench cut, but I wanted to do something different just for you, Mr. Kirkland. Just for you, Mr. Kirkland. All right, this is called Do You Remember NFL Edition? Like Michael Jackson. All right.
Okay. All right.
So this is all right. So, do you remember 2004, your intern, the first round pick of the Atlanta Falcons? Do you remember? And if the people know in the comments, y'all can put in the comments below.
No, and I'll tell you why. Because I was 2004, I was actually with Cleveland. But you know what? It might have been D'Angelo Hall.
Ding, 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 ding.
Okay.
D'Angelo Hall, round 1,
right.
9th pick. I see you. Listen. You good?
Hey, you testing me now. You testing me.
He said, pulled that out the hat. He's like, all right, 2012. This is the last one. 2012, Chicago's first round pick.
2012. Was it Alshon Jeffrey?
That's his second round. That's the second round pick.
It was the linebacker from Boise State.
Oh my goodness, he is on it today.
Yeah.
I don't even know who this guy was.
Right. Yeah.
Listen, that's how I'm telling you. My man does what he does this. That's what he does. All right, that's what he does.
Well, I'll tell you, it ain't a hobby. It ain't a hobby. Believe that.
That is what's up. Just wanted to test your memory real quick, see how you're doing it. All right. Still sharp attack, I see. Now let's get to these rapid questions. Your favorite movie?
Wow. That's you're asking a lot. I watch a lot of movies. My favorite. It's tough to pick a favorite. I think the easy answer would be something like Coming to America, Color Purple. Simple stuff like that. Boys in the Hood. Forrest Gump, oddly enough.
Oh man,
stuff like that. So, look, man, I got a wide array of movies that I really like.
That's what's
up. I get around on the movie. on the movie thing.
I get around.
I get around, shawty, believe it.
Your last vacation.
Yeah. Honestly, man, yeah, I don't get a lot of vacations. I work in tackle football, and for the most part, it doesn't stop. So maybe 2013, maybe. Yeah, I went to what is it, Costa Rica? I went out to Costa Rica.
Costa Rica.
Yeah, Costa Rica. Went out to Costa Rica, with some buddies, and had a good time out there. But I don't honestly, I don't get a lot of vacation time, and vacation to me is holding up and watching film. So
you are hilarious. Oh,
just saying. You asked a question.
Your dream car.
Oh man, interesting. I'm a car guy as well. The car I really want to get probably is the Bentley Flying Spur. Just the the luxury, and it's just such a sharp car. Everybody doesn't have them. And I got a couple of cars that I would say are pretty good dream car types. But nothing like a Bentley though. Nothing like a Bentley. The Bentley is so far away from what I can do now. So but probably the Flying Spur.
I'm gonna have to Google that after this.
You don't know what a Flying Spur is, man?
I'm not.
Man, you gotta get your car game up, home. Gotta get your car game up.
I do not know. All right, let's get to these questions. Right. So, growing up, you played at Duke back in the early '90s. How was that? And what position did you play?
My position was I played defensive end.
Okay.
Played a little bit of outside linebacker. I went in as a defensive tackle, but I was a light body cat. So I ended up moving outside to end and outside linebacker. It was a good experience, man. Look, I'm from Decatur, Georgia. My folks went to Savannah State, and I thought that was where I was going, quite honestly. And I actually did pretty good in school back in the day, and ended up being a decent tackle football player. And so I got a chance to go to Duke. So it was a good experience, man. It was solid. It opened my mind to a lot of things that probably I may not have been opened up to otherwise.
That's what's up.
You know what I'm saying?
Now, how does a philosophy major become an NFL scout? How did that even?
Yeah. It's a good question, but oddly enough, it's there are parallels there. Obviously, philosophy is one of the ways. Philosophy really opened my mind to a lot of things. It made me think differently. You know what I'm saying? It made me explore some different things, maybe in my mind that maybe I couldn't grasp beforehand. So ultimately, the big thing about philosophy is reading and interpretation, number one. And number two is writing. So as a scout, like I have to write incessantly. Like I do a lot of writing. Like I actually just had surgery I just had carpal tunnel surgery on both hands. I've had it for like 2 years, but I write and I type and write all the time. So the writing part of philosophy and understanding how to really express yourself and paint a picture like that's a parallel to scouting. Now it's different now. Scouting is a little bit different now than what it was before, where you did a lot more writing before. Now things are kind of being whittled down, and instead of writing book reports, you're writing, a couple of lines.
Okay. Now, if you weren't a scout, what else would you be doing?
Yeesh. Great question. Great question. So I started out, man, I worked in banking, right? So I was working in banking, and a dude, there was one of my clients at the bank was a guy named Thomas Stanley, who wrote the book The Millionaire Next Door.
Oh wow.
And yeah, so I'm having one of those days, and I'm like, this can't be it for me. Like I can't do this for the next 50 years and make $60,000. This ain't working.
Mm-hmm.
And his advice to me was, you need to figure out what you would do for free and work to make a career out of that.
Mm.
Okay. And one thing about me, like if you go to my house, like I got DVDs, I got VHS tapes filled with football, highlights, games, high school, college, pro, the whole 9 yards. So, I always had a little bit of a penchant for watching ball and what makes a winner, what makes this guy better than that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Why does this dude move different from that dude?
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And I've always been curious about that sort of thing. And so, I mean, me and scouting fit like puzzle pieces in that regard. You know what I'm saying? So what else would I be doing? I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure. I've done banking, but nothing tempted my tummy like tackle football. So, I jumped headlong into it.
Now, I love this section coming up. It's called Who Is, right? So it's within the span of your career of scouting. So who is the best athlete you've seen and or scouted?
It's tough. What can I just do, by team?
Yeah.
So by team, starting out in Atlanta, it was obviously Michael Vick.
Oh, yeah.
But in addition to Michael Vick, you had Warwick Dunn,
the running back,
who's an excellent athlete as well. I always thought Ray Buchanan was a very good athlete. He was a corner at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I went from there to Cleveland. When I got to Cleveland, Kellen Winslow, wow, he was the first round pick in 2004, and he held out. But when he got there, he was the best player we had on. He was the best athlete we had on the field immediately. So you have him. You have Braylon Edwards, who I thought he was a pretty good player as well. An odd one is Eric Wright, who was a corner out of UNLV. He started at USC, went to UNLV. We drafted him in the second round, but I thought he was an excellent athlete as well. If you go to the Bears, you're talking about Devin Hester, Matt Forte, Brian Urlacher, and then Julius Peppers. Jesus, wow, what an athlete. Tennessee, who we have in Tennessee? Chris Johnson,
C2K.
the running back.
C2K.
Yeah. Chris Johnson was a real one. And another one that was a little bit off the grid was probably Delaney Walker, the tight end. Yeah, because Delaney, even though he's a tight end and whatnot, but Delaney was fast, like he could flat run. He didn't look like a speedster when you went out there and looked at him, but you turn on the tape, you're like, God, man, this guy's really running. And then the second round in Cleveland, who did we have on that team? That was the Johnny Manziel years. So that was
Joe Thomas,
Josh Gordon. Joe Thomas. That's right, Joe Thomas. That's right. We drafted Joe Thomas in the first round, but Joe Thomas was so plug and play, you almost forget about him. He was so steady. It was almost like, okay, we don't have to think about that. So let's worry about the rest of it.
Yeah.
But Joe, you're right. Joe Thomas is in that group.
Josh Gordon. You said Josh Gordon.
Josh Gordon. in the second round, the second go around in Cleveland. But to me, he was really only the only real standout athlete we had on that squad, and he was suspended a lot, so that hurts.
All right, so going to this next section, I call it building the board. All right, let's go back. So when does the draft process actually start? Like, or is it all year round for you guys?
That would be the latter. It never stops.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so I would tell you the draft was the end of April, right? It's June 16th. I would tell you most college scouts are in the process of going through their areas and evaluating the upcoming crop of players. Okay, so I've started as well. Like I'm not with a club right now, but there are guys that I'm already looking at for next year's draft. To just kind of start stacking the board and see who's who and where's the draft strong, where is it weak, that kind of thing. So I mean, I think as a scout, you want to keep evaluating, whether you're in or out. You always want to kind of keep your finger on the pulse of what's happening. The game is always changing. The players that are required are always changing. The specifics of each position are always changing. So, it's about always evaluating, always be evaluating, always. So
that sounds tedious. I mean, God, dog, that sounds tedious. But
well,
if you love what you do, you never work. They say, if you love what you do, you never work.
Correct. And that's how I feel about it.
That's awesome. Now, how many scouts are usually on an NFL staff?
I would say it depends. I think you're gonna be, when you bust out a staff, obviously you have a pro department, you have a college department. Okay. On the college side, you're gonna be anywhere from 6 to 10 scouts. On the pro side, you're going to be anywhere from 3 to 5. I've seen, the staffs are different, right? I mean, I think Cincinnati rolls with a little bit of a skeleton staff. They have a smaller scouting staff. They may have 7 guys. But then I think at one point Cleveland had over 30. So it varies from team to team, and now when you add in the analytics piece, because that's becoming more of a thing now in the game, like those departments are getting bigger and bigger. Back in the day, you probably had 1 or 2 guys. I've seen departments that have as many as 10. So I had a professor in grad school that told me the answer to everything is it depends. So it depends. It depends. But the average, I would say, in a player personnel department is 15 to 20.
And that's with the pro and the college side together.
That's pro, college, analytics, and the player personnel piece, which is the GM, assistant GM, senior exec, director of player personnel, all of that.
Got you. Now, how is the workload? Let's just keep it in, let's say you're on the college scouting stuff. How is that workload given? Because there's so many schools and so many players. So how is it all divided up?
Like I said earlier, for college scouts, it's divided by area. So I mean, so you have, obviously you got colleges all over the country. So you'll have a scout that's responsible for the Southeast, one for the Northeast, one for the Midwest, one for the Southwest, one for the Northwest. So they'll bust it up in the areas, have one guy in each area that takes care of it, and then you'll have over the top scouts that'll actually on each side, East and West, that will actually kind of be the over the top, looking at the top players in each area. Okay. Now you'll also some places will also use younger scouts to kind of train them up in areas. So you may actually have two guys in the Southeast, because the Southeast is where kind of a lot of heavy lifting is. Why? Because of the SEC. It's nothing to go into a school in the SEC and it'd be like, hey, we got 12 seniors that are prospects, but then we got these other 14 juniors that could come out. So that's a pretty heavy load. So you may have a scout that handles that area, but also have a younger scout that does kind of cross-check work there as well. So, there are a lot of ways to do it, and there's a lot of ways to train guys, and there's always players to watch. And a lot of times, just getting eyes on guys is an asset. So, but mostly they're broken up by area, and guys have their areas that they take care of.
Got you. So when you're looking at a Division I level player, what makes the kid draftable?
Good question. I would say obviously physical tools. And when I talk about physical tools, I'm talking about how big is he? What kind of athlete is he? How does he move? Can he bend? There are a lot of dudes that are big and can't bend, right? How fast is he? I worked for Lovie Smith. Like that's the first question he asked about every single player is how fast is he? So like that's a thing. So the physical tools, I think, are that's the first thing is the physical tools. Can he physically do the job that you're going to ask him to do? Okay. The next thing I would say is how versatile is he? Versatility equals value. So the more you can do, the better. Okay. So if I watch a dude's tape and I'm like, this dude's a good player, but all he can play is a slot receiver. That's maybe not as valuable. You know what I'm saying? But if I watch a guy and I say, well, dang, this guy plays tackle, but he also plays some guard, his junior year. Okay, we got some versatility here. This guy can actually do more than one thing. So the thing about the league, like you have a limited roster on Sundays. Okay. So the more guys you have that have a versatile skill set, that actually helps you to be able to continue to manage and play the game even when you have injuries. Okay.
Now, the versatility, does that hurt certain positions? Because you have quarterbacks at D1 levels that look like athletes, so let's say a coach doesn't see Michael Vick as a quarterback. He sees him as an athlete, or Lamar Jackson. You see what I'm saying? Like, so just because you are versatile, does that sometimes hinder what you can and cannot do in the league, or versatility is just great in general?
Well, again, it depends, right? So, Michael Vick could be a quarterback because he had the arm talent to do it. He had the arm talent to do it. And there were times when you watched Mike throw, Mike was accurate. You know what I'm saying? Now, the issue you have is the dude that's an athlete, but he ain't accurate. Or, he don't want to stand in the pocket, and deliver the ball. Like that's where you have problems. So you'll have dudes that are really good athletes, can run themselves out of trouble and all that kind of stuff. But literally you ask him to throw a swing pass, he'll throw it in the stands. That's tough. You know what I mean? Like there are some things you have to have. Okay. So like when I think about the quarterback, I start from the Paul Brown era. What he said was, give me a tall, accurate passer. And if you look at tackle football, no matter how much it's changed, the tall, accurate passer has been able to play and be successful. So now the game today, you want them to be able to move a little bit more, because these dudes are fast, man. These linemen and linebackers, they're getting faster and faster and faster. So the quarterback's got to be able to move some. But at the end of the day, the NFL is a passing league. You have to be able to throw the ball and hit the mark, period. So versatility can help you. You might be able to move the receiver. You know, that's why I think, you know, there was controversy with Lamar Jackson because, you know, a executive said, "Hey, man, this guy's not a quarterback; he's a running back or whatever."
Yeah.
Well, I mean, some people felt that way. Well, the Ravens designed their offense to take advantage of the things that he can do really well, and to his credit, he worked to improve himself as a passer. So it works, right? But after versatility, I would say, man, you got to produce. Like you got to show up. Like I can't turn on the tape and it's just like, man, this guy's never gonna make a play. It can't. You know what I mean? Like, and you know, I have a really good friend. You know, a scout buddy of mine. He always says, "I like players that find me." When I turn on the tape, it's like, man, who is Buddy? He is all over the field. Like you like those kind of guys. So you got to have guys that produce. Those are the guys that show up and you know that they can do something. The other thing is roster fit. You know, is there a real fit on our roster for this player? And can he get a jersey on Sundays? You understand? So that's where, to me, like the slot receivers, the small running backs, even though smaller running backs are getting to be more prevalent nowadays. Most people aren't doing the bell cow running backs. So the running backs are getting smaller and, you know, they just do it by committee. But in some ways, those guys are limited that way. And the most important thing is the character piece. Like, you know, you want guys that are good in your locker room, you know, the locker room lawyers and all that kind of stuff. You don't want that junk. You want guys that are going to be a good citizen. They come to work every day. They're the same guy every day. That's what you hear a lot is we want guys that are the same guy every day. You know, they show up, they go to work, and they want to get their job right for their team. So, you know, character is a huge deal. And but, you know, before you get to the character, you got to make sure he's qualified physically as well. You know what I mean? So, yeah, to me, that's what makes a dude draftable. Those things.
Now, do scouts look at all positions? Because my next question is, what positions do you feel most comfortable scouting and why? Or are scouts usually just like, hey, man, you got to see it all?
Yeah, the job is to do all of them. Okay. So I would tell you, starting out, you know, the positions I was most comfortable with obviously was defensive line. That's what I played all my life. That's what I did. You know, so I understand that, right? But now, you know, after being a scout for a while and, you know, learning from every place I've been and every coach I've been around, every scout I've been around, I'm very comfortable evaluating every position. And, you know, even though I'm a D lineman, you know, I love evaluating offensive linemen. And I really like evaluating quarterbacks and running backs. Okay. Quarterbacks are interesting just because there's, you know, it's hard to get them right. You know what I mean? It's tough to get them right. So, you know, it's a puzzle. So, you know, I like putting that puzzle together. And running backs are just entertaining to me. You know, I just like, you know, they call a running back the crib position. It's natural. Like you got to have natural born instincts at running back to be successful. So, you know, I'm comfortable with all of them though. I'm comfy.
This is the question that most people came for right here. How do teams approach scouting lower level divisions in football?
How do they approach it?
Yeah. So do they have to produce more than a player from Ohio State? Do they have to just be that much better? You know, do they just have to just be, do they have to be Air McNair to to come have a place on the NFL, you know, things like that? Because sometimes, you know, kids are late bloomers, you know, they grow into their bodies. So they, you know, they could have been a D1 talent, but at the time they got scouted, you know, they were recruited, they weren't ready. So all those, like, how do you guys go about, because once again, you're going to start at the D1 level. You're going to go to the Mississippi States, the Alabamas, but then how do you go to the Alabama States? How do you go to Albany? Like, how do you work your way down?
Sure. Hold on, there's a leave studio button down here. Let me can I get out of this? No,
Breaking up, you're breaking.
Yeah. What? Huh? I think we got a bad connection. Nah. I mean, you approach it the same, right? You approach it the same. Now, at a lower level, like there should be a difference between a real dude and the level of comp, right? Like that dude should stand out. He should be a standout player. His production should be, a cut above. So your question is, does he have to be Aaron McNair? Kinda. You know what I'm saying? Like he's got to stand out, right? To catch the eye, right?
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is, man, like you gotta test. Look, it doesn't do any good for like some. Okay, let's say dude's a 7,000-yard rusher at Savannah State. I say Savannah State because that's my family, but he rushed for 7,000 yards at Savannah State.
Mm-hmm.
And you go to the pro day, you're like, okay, all right, 7,000 yards. Wow, okay, he's 5'9". All right, okay. And then he runs the 40 and he runs a 5'1". Now what? He doesn't match up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So and I get it. Like it's tough to just put players in boxes like that, right? So you want to give the guy that is a good football player, you want to give that guy the benefit of the doubt. But like he's got to there are certain there's certain standards he has to hit. Like if a guy's 5'9" and he runs a 4'9", it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough regardless of his production.
Mm-hmm.
Because when he gets to the league, the linebackers run 4'5". It's gonna be a bad matchup.
Now,
You understand?
So this is because I want to get to this question because I've read this term potential in a lot of draft blogs and a lot of Walter Jones football and PFF, Pro Football Focus, all that. They love the word potential, and it seems to always come down to measurables, like a little bit of competition. Because if a kid from, let's say, UNLV and he's playing against a kid from Alabama State, they don't get the same look because of the level of competition, but the measurables seem the same. 6'1", runs a 4.4, runs a 4.5. So when you have, what does that word potential mean in draft circles? Like, when you start doing the lower rounds, like 3, 4, 5.
Well, when I hear potential, I think of kind of a sliding scale between ability and production.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? This dude has really good ability. His production's here. So, what has to happen to get the potential is between his level of ability and his level of production.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when you hear that, probably that kid probably doesn't have the production to match the actual measurables or what his ability would lead you to believe. Right. So to me, when you say this dude plays at, wherever, he's at a small school and he's 6'4", 265, he runs a 4.4, and you turn on the tape and nothing happens. I mean, he has the potential to do it, but he ain't did it. That's what it boils down to. That's the potential piece. So that's the kind of guy that when the production doesn't match up, somebody may take a late round flyer on him and say, hey, this guy does check the boxes. Let's bring him in. If our coaches feel good about him and feel good about their ability to be able to, make him viable, then yeah, you take a shot on him. So, what you ultimately want is you want a guy that has really good ability and has really good production, at the end of the day. And when that production falls short of the ability, it's like, all right, something's missing with this dude. Is he tough enough? Is he competitive enough? Does he have the instincts to play the game? So to me, that's where potential comes in.
Now, let me ask you this, and it's kind of off the cuff. When, let's say you have an Alabama player who, a small school player compared to I won't even go Alabama. Let's not even do that. Like somebody from Maryland, right? University of Maryland.
Sure.
They both have 6 picks. Is the level of competition at the smaller school like, how did he get his 6 picks? Like, is that also being compared as well? Or is if the guy has 7 picks at the lower school, but and the other kid at Maryland has 3 picks, it's like the level of competition was just a little bit more, you see what I'm saying?
I think you can make that assumption, but the whole point is to watch the film, and the job of the scout is to figure out why this guy is productive or why he isn't productive, right?
Gotcha.
So, like, I've seen cats that had 9 picks, but it was like 9 punts. You know what I'm saying? They play cover 3. He's over the top. The quarterback overthrows the ball. Pick, right? That's different from playing man. The dude runs a comeback and
Jump it.
you pick it off, you jump it, and you going back the other way. That's a different type of pick. So I think it's I don't know that it's about the level of comp as much as it's about how does the player get his production. Now the level of comp may come into play if you got quarterbacks with weak arms trying to throw, far sideline out routes. Like, he's probably gonna throw some picks, the ball's fluttering.
Yeah.
Right. So, that can come into play, but I think it's more about figuring out how a guy gets his production and why he gets his production. He gets his production because he's fast, or he gets his production because he's a product of the scheme.
I want people to hear that. It's how you do it. All right. It's how you make it look good. All right. With you and make them go, whoa, that was nice. That was nice.
It matters. Believe that. And that's why they film everything, and that's why there are scouts.
Gotcha.
So that you get an idea of what's going on.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Good question.
Thank you. So, in your opinion, what can lower level players do to get to the next level?
That's a lot.
In a very small, minute box.
Okay.
It depends, right? It depends.
No. I would tell you. Okay, so a few years back, they used to have, they have, they had a HBCU combine, right? HBC, they had a bowl game, right? And so I went down there, and as part of the bowl game, they did the testing. The players did the testing. Well, a lot of them didn't really know how to run the 40. So you might have saw a kid and said, you know what, this kid has good ability. He looks like he can play the game. But then he went out there and ran the 40 and ran a 4.9. Well, I mean, he's a safety. Yeah, strike 3. Like there's not a coach at the pro level who is going to look twice at a 4.9 safety. It's just not happening. So the testing piece, the testing piece is important. Now, obviously, you got to take care of business on the field. Obviously, you got to be a good citizen. You got to go to work every day. You got to improve yourself through your career in college. But when it comes to the testing piece, you got to show up and really test. Like, you got to show up and you got to show that you can run. And that's the big one right there. The speed will help people to say, hold on, who is Buddy? Buddy ran a 4.4? Really?
Let's go.
I think I'll turn on his tape and see what that looks like. You know what I'm saying?
That's real.
But again, like if you don't have the ticket punch, which is your speed,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's hard to make people pay attention. You know, it's like saying, hey man, I'm gonna go see about this management job and see if I can get down on that. And the first requirement is a college degree. Do you have a college degree? No. What you doing here? What we talking about? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're not. Yeah, you're not qualified. So, you know, I think, you know, working on the testing piece, making sure that you're going to run, you're going to be able to display that you can run. You got to be able to display that you have the strength required to play the game. The jumps, that stuff's important. Like, people don't think it is. You know, I was a player too, and it was like, man, forget that stuff, man. I can ball. Nah, dude, like the testing piece gives you a chance to walk through the door.
Gotcha.
And if you don't get that part, it's gonna be hard for you.
That's real. That's what bringing you on here is for. To give them the real, what they need to know.
Hey, I believe in that back and forward. You know, one thing as a player that you appreciate, and I think this goes across, I think pro, college, high school, Pop Warner, is you want folks to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, hey man, how you think I'm doing? You know, actually, man, you playing real soft right now. You real soft. Like it comes across. It might sting a little bit at first, but now at least you know, like, all right, I'm playing soft. I gotta address that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's hard to know. It's hard to know where you stand when folk won't be honest with you. So, you know, I make it a point to, you know, be as straight as an arrow. You know, it was from the movie Elizabeth. You know, how do I get the queen to believe in me? Pay her the compliment of the truth. You know, telling somebody the truth is a gift. Real feedback is a gift.
Mm-hmm.
So it might hurt, it might sting your ego, but it actually gives you a chance to improve on whatever it is you need to improve on. So there it is.
Now, how important are player interviews, and how far does your research go back on a player?
Once you figure out they can play, it's critical. And it goes back as far as it needs to go back. So if you robbed the candy lady when you were 9, you know, there's a chance that comes out and we know about it. And that stuff, you know, it goes back. So I mean, people want to know who's coming into their building. And again, it's you're paying for it, right? The more you pay, the more you want to know, right? Like you're not gonna go out and buy a $300,000 house sight unseen.
Facts.
You say it's 300,000? 6 bedrooms? Okay, I'll pay for that. You know what I mean? And then you buy it, and it's like, wow, it doesn't have a roof, and the foundation's jacked up. Like I've been robbed. No, you didn't do your due diligence. You weren't robbed.
Oh my goodness.
You didn't do your due diligence. So you know, it matters. It matters. And what I would say is the best thing to do if you're a player and you're being interviewed and you got stuff in your background that's real funny looking, be as straight and honest about it as you possibly can. Because if you lie about it and they find out or they already know, it just doesn't reflect well. It doesn't reflect well. It's like, man, this dude, you know, he let's see, what could it be? Okay, he failed two marijuana tests, right? and you ask them about it, well, I mean, I've only smoked weed twice in my life. You know what I'm saying? Oh, so you got caught both times? Okay, yeah, I don't believe this dude. We got to be kidding. You know what I'm saying? So it's just be straight up about it. Just be straight up about answering all the questions. Being straight up and honest about any issues they may have will pay dividends in the end, because at the end of the day, they just want to know. They just want to know what they're getting. That's it. That's it. Yeah.
Now, it's a question from the comments. It says, so you're telling me not one player from an HBCU had a good grade and could run and backed it up on the tape this year? Not one. Now, I want to say he is not currently at the pro level scouting. I just want to be, he's done it, but I'm just giving you okay. But how do you go about that one?
I mean, look, I would tell you, I'm not sure about that, obviously, because I've been doing more high school and college work. But I think this year was different. I think this year was a COVID year. And look, I can tell you, from not knowing if you're gonna play, to not having spring practice, not having summer camp, like the last season, like you got a lot of stuff that you never really saw before. Like BYU was one of the top teams in the country, and then they went, and Coastal Carolina went and knocked their head off when they played them. You understand what I'm saying? So I think this year is a little bit of I think this past year was a little bit of an aberration. Now, look, I don't know. I mean, people are making a big deal about, nobody was drafted from the HBCUs, but my question is, I imagine there was somebody from an HBCU that is on a squad. I bet there were guys that were signed.
Yeah, undrafted.
And that are undrafted that may make rosters in the fall. So I don't know if you can, if guys can make a roster, does it matter if you're drafted or not? I mean, I think there's prestige in being drafted. That's good. But, would you rather be drafted and wash out after a year and a half, or be undrafted and play 7 years? What does it matter? So, I just think I don't think it really takes the big picture into consideration to just say, well, nobody. You mean nobody was drafted? That's wrong. Was it? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I think if guys can go from HBCUs and get themselves on a roster, then they got just as good a chance as anybody else. And I think that's what's important.
Now, how important is drafting according to a team's culture, like i.e. Ravens and Steelers? Is that really something that, like, hey, we want this type of defensive player, we're looking for this style?
Absolutely. I mean, it's critical. The issue you have is that some cultures are further along than others. Okay. So, like the Steelers, if you look at the Steelers, the Steelers are the same team now that they were, the first time I worked for the Browns. Like they have certain things and certain types of players that they play with, and it's always been that way. When you play the Steelers, you're gonna have to deal with a tough, hard-nosed defense. You're gonna have to deal with a big offensive line, and you're gonna have to deal with a running game. And then you add Big Ben to that and their ability to throw the ball. Now, they're a tough team. The Ravens, they're gonna be rugged. They're gonna be fast. They're gonna be tough, and they got a bunch of instinctive players. Okay, so drafting players acquiring players according to the team culture is critical. Look, your coaches more or less set the direction in terms of what kind of players they want to work with, and they set the head coach obviously sets the vision for what he wants the team to be.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But a lot of times the culture really comes from the top. It comes from the ownership. You understand? Like the Steelers aren't who they are because, Coach Tomlin has set it up that way.
Mm-hmm.
They're like that because of the Rooney family and how that culture has been set up for now, decades, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but some teams are a little bit further away from that. So, when I worked in Cleveland the first time, Mr. Haslam was a newer owner. So in a lot of ways, we kind of finding our way,
Mm-hmm.
culture wise, So I think once you get a culture set and you've determined who you want to be, what your team is going to be on Sundays, how you're going to win, how you're going to pursue a championship, I think you absolutely it is your responsibility to acquire players with that in mind. That's the gig. So it's it's I can't say enough about that. But you got to have a culture to draft to too.
Gotcha.
I've been in in Cleveland. There were times where, hey, we're going into the draft and we've got a brand new coach and we're not sure exactly. You're not 100% clear on how what players he's going to want, his
Mm-hmm.
position coaches want. Because you're still working off the last coach's blueprint. So, that's why, from what I've seen, teams in the first year of the draft with a new coach and a new GM, those drafts can be, hit or miss, because they're not on the same page yet. It takes time. It takes time to grow that way.
Got you. Now, you are currently the director of player personnel at the University of Illinois. How is that? Like, what is that? It's a long title.
Okay, yeah, it's a long title, and just to be clear, I was director of player personnel at Illinois when Lovie Smith was there, and Lovie Smith was let go at the end of the season. I was as well. So I'm actually a free agent right now. But how was it? It was a very significant learning experience. It really was. So the things I'm telling you about in terms of my philosophy is, as the personnel guy at the college level, was to seek my coach's preference, the position coaches, the coordinators, and obviously the head coach. You want to find players that the position coaches want to work with, that fit within the coordinator scheme and fit the head coach's vision. So, it was a very interesting position where, you're trying to juggle a lot of different things and, deal with a lot of different people and trying to satisfy a lot of different people. And that's not always easy to do. But I learned a lot, and I got a chance to create my own grading system and got a chance to make mistakes and also had some successes. The first two guys we've had come out of our recruiting classes. First two guys that came out got drafted. One went in the 5th round this year, Nate Hobbs, and Kendrick Green went in I think it was the 3rd round, 3rd or 4th round, one of the two, to the Steelers. So I learned a lot. We did some good things, and we felt like we left the program in a better place than we got it. So yeah, it was solid. It was a great experience. It really was.
That's what's up. Now, for the parents out there and the students, can you explain an official visit and compared to an unofficial visit?
An official visit, the school pays for it.
Oh,
You understand? Like, oh, you flying to the University of Minnesota? Minnesota's paying for it. Right? Unofficial, you getting in your car and ride. You know what I'm saying? Travel's on you, Jack. so that's really the difference. The official is it's on us. We're gonna show you a good time. We're gonna feed you. You get a chance to meet all the different pieces of the program, and really you get to do that some on unofficial visits too.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a matter of who's paying.
Who putting the bill on that?
For sure.
Oh man. Now, what would you say is the hardest position to scout in the NFL in college?
Obviously in the NFL, you want to get the quarterback right.
Mm-hmm.
There are there's that can be hit or miss. You know what I mean? So I'd have to say quarterback. That's the easiest answer.
Mm-hmm.
And you could take that to college as well. But I also think safety can be difficult as well. Obviously everybody's obsessed with speed.
Mm-hmm.
And dude run a 4.4, he can play safety. Not really. Like a lot of times safety is brain, instincts, understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Having that understanding route concepts, understanding your defensive scheme, understanding fits. So if you look around, there are a lot of guys that play safety that don't necessarily run that fast,
Mm-hmm.
but they can get the guys lined up. They can make the tackles they need to make in run support, and they can contest the balls they need to contest in pass coverage. So safety can be a challenge, and obviously quarterback. I mean, everybody's trying to get the quarterback right. That's the bottom line, and it's a lot of pieces to that puzzle.
Now, these next three questions, I really am interested to hear your opinion, your thoughts on it. Who are some players you scouted that you wish your teams would have drafted?
Ooh.
And you just give me a few from your stints. That you was like beating on the table, like we need to get him, and they was like, nah, we're not doing it.
I was a Marshawn Lynch fan. Because I worked out west quite a bit. I was a Marshawn Lynch fan. The one guy that I had a strong affinity for that we did draft was Joe Thomas.
Okay.
So I was that was one I was really happy about. Who else? I think I wish we had drafted. Christian McCaffrey was another one that I really, really liked.
And this was your time at Cleveland, I'm assuming.
I was in Cleveland at the time. Yeah. I thought he was excellent. I couldn't stop watching the guy. I thought he was really good. Marcus Mariota was one that I felt really good about. I thought he was smart. He was tall. He was accurate. And his teammates loved him. He was one. Sheesh. What was the guy's name? Forget his name. He was a guard in North Carolina that I really, really liked. He went high, but he ended up washing out. The other guy was Le'Veon Bell. I thought Le'Veon was completely underrated coming out. Those are kind of the ones I can remember off the top of my head.
Gotcha. I need you to stay. I need you to stay there. All right. So,
okay.
What player were you wrong about and ended up being amazing?
Amazing.
Or dang, I didn't see that coming. I ain't see him doing that. Like that kind of.
gosh, I don't think about this stuff much. Ended up being amazing. Okay, so really we're talking about misses.
Yeah, misses.
Guys that I said, I think he's okay, but he ended up being a decent player.
Exactly.
There's an O lineman out of Texas. Played with the Falcons. I think his name was Blaylock. He ended up being better than I thought he would be. To some extent, Eric Wright, who's the corner I talked about earlier. I wouldn't say he was amazing, but
solid.
He was one of those with a lot of ability, and his production was down there. And I was kind of like, And he ended up being a credible starter for us.
Okay.
Matt Forte. I didn't give him a super high grade out of college. But when I went to Chicago, I gained a great appreciation for the kind of player he was. I thought in the end, like I think I gave him a second round grade coming out, but after being there with him, I was like, I should put this guy in the first round. This guy can run. He's a great guy. He's a great guy, and he was a steady performer in both phases, run and pass. Yeah, that's about all I can remember right now.
One of the comments they said Jonathan Cooper. Is that one of the guards?
Yeah, that's the guard. That's the guard. Yeah, I really liked Cooper. Like he had feet, he could run. Like he had every reason to be a good player, and he washed out. And that was one where I was like, dang man, what? I tricked that one off. And really you could add, you may be able to add Danny Shelton to that as well. Because I was a strong proponent of his when I was in Cleveland, and we ended up drafting him, and it didn't work out. Now, I do believe a lot of times that stuff is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like the coach that drafted him gets shot. He gets shot dead, and now the next coach has got to live with him, and maybe the scheme changes and it doesn't work. Danny's still playing, but I thought he would have been more of an impact player than what he is.
All right, so coming down to the end now, how much weight do you think Deion Sanders' voice and opinion will hold on his players getting drafted?
It's tough. I don't think it hurts. But again, the players have got to show up and do the work. Like the player has to test. I've never graded a player and said, you know what? He does play for this coach, so I got to bump his grade up.
Next Saban, you don't be like, yo, he coming from a great scheme or something like that, or there's some validity. Nothing.
No, because I'm not scouting for them. I'm scouting for the club. You know what I mean? And maybe that guy doesn't even fit what we're looking for. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't know. Now I do like the fact that he's saying, hey, there are players here. Like, come look at our players. The question is, I as being an area scout before, like it's my duty to go and look at players. Like if I hear anything about a player or I see big production or something like that, I got to go check him out. That's my job. Because the last thing I want to do is sit in a meeting and have the GM say, what about Buddy Riley at Savannah State? And that's my area. And I'm like, who'd you say? I don't know, Buddy. It's like being a kid and it's like, the GM writes your name on the board, James Check. You know what I'm saying? Like it, it's your job to know your area.
Got you.
You're the GM of your area. You're supposed to know it. And so you can't have players popping up in your area that you don't know about. It's a bad look, you know. So how much weight will his voice and opinion hold? I don't think it hurts, but I'm not gonna say people are gonna be like, you know what, we need to draft this dude because Deion said he could play. I don't know of any scouts that are doing that.
Okay, makes sense. Makes sense. Just the exposure, get that exposure up. Now,
Oh, good.
if a young man or woman wanted to be a scout for college or professional team, what is the process? What does that look like? You know what I'm saying? Like, because what I want a lot of kids to understand is not everybody's going to go pro. But if you've been if you played at a collegiate level, at a high level, you know, lower level, D1, D2, whatever, doesn't mean you can't be a scout and make a good living, right? You got some nice cars, you know.
I mean, that's a fact. That's a fact. And I'm speaking of the cars piece. But no, I'm playing. No. But if a young man or woman wanted to be a scout for a college or a professional team, what should they do? You know, I'd say first you got to make yourself available. You know, so I started with the Falcons, but like I wasn't getting paid. I remember when they asked me to stay for the season, I was like, whoo, they're gonna finally put me on the payroll. And I was like, well, how much you gonna pay me? They were like, well, we're not gonna be able to pay you. It's like, oh, but to me, to be able to be in the building, learn exactly what the job is, learn more about the game, like that experience was invaluable. And you talked about shout outs earlier. Shout out to Les Snead and Ron Hill and Mike Hagan and all the guys that gave me an opportunity to be there with the Falcons. Dan Reeves and all those guys. So it was you got to make your labor available. You know what I mean? And sometimes I mean you might have to work for free at the high school level, at the college level. So like make yourself available. The other thing, get to know as many people that are in it as possible. And nobody says you have to be a scout. Look, NFL teams the NFL is a global business. So like if you're an accountant, you can work in the NFL. If you're a lawyer, you can work in the NFL. Like there's a full menu of things you can do at the club level or even at the corporate NFL level. So make yourself available. Get to know as many people as you can. If you're wanting to be a scout, you need to know something about tackle football. Now, I think it's a little bit different nowadays. There are a lot more people that aren't necessarily players and that sort of thing that are able to get into it. And for those people, I just say, hey, man, get yourself in a building. Get in a building and make yourself available. Go work and let people know what your intentions are after you get in the building. Because I've seen a lot of guys go from equipment to scouting, video to scouting. Like you got to get in the building first. You got to get to know people, and then obviously let people know what you want to do long term.
That's what's up. Now I got a question from the comments. Said what made Darius Leonard draftable from South Carolina State?
Well, again, I don't know Darius Leonard. Who is Darius Leonard?
The linebacker from Indianapolis Colts.
From the Indianapolis Colts. Let's look. Okay, so I got my stuff. I got my stuff up. Darius Leonard, right? football linebacker. Okay, Darius Shaquille Leonard. Okay, Nichols, South Carolina, 6'2", 229 is what it says. Okay. All right, so pre-draft measurables, 6'2", 234 pounds, 34 3/8 arm, 10 1/4 hand, 4'7", 40. 7'3", cone, vertical 38, broad jump 10'8". He's qualified. So for the linebacker position, and I don't know exactly what kind of linebacker he plays, but it looks like his measurables line up. Like he's qualified. He can run, and this is a big linebacker, 6'2", 234. That's a grown man. Like, you see linebackers at 5'10". You think about the Stephen Tullocks of the world. 5'10", 5'11" linebackers that go ball. But this guy's big. He can run. He's long. He's got big hands. And it looks like he performed really well at the Senior Bowl, is what it says. His performance at the Senior Bowl immensely helped his draft stock. He went to the combine but didn't complete all of the combine drills. So he pulled his quad. He injured his quad while running the 40, but he ran a 4.7. So he ran a 4.7, but he pulled. And I don't know if that's. I mean, this is just on his Wikipedia. So who knows what that time really is? Because everybody has their own time. But if he ran 4.7 and he pulled, these numbers, he's qualified.
So you get your answer.
Sustained.
All right, Mr. Kirk, we'll be coming down to the last section. This is called This or That. I'm gonna give you two options and you pick your favorite option. All right.
Okay.
Text or call?
Text.
City or country?
Country.
Early bird or night owl?
Early.
Michael Jackson or Prince? A decision needs to be made. No, I don't want to hit the both. Can I say both? No, it's not no both.
You can't say both. I'm going to say Prince. And I'm going to say Prince because Prince was also a creator. Michael Jackson, I don't know that. I don't remember him being a producer. I don't remember him. I don't remember who's the group that Michael Jackson brought to the table. Where Prince had the time, he had Vanity 6, he had Sheila E. Like, there's more to the tree for Prince than Michael Jackson, in my opinion.
Oh, that's you're the first one that really broke it down like that, like the impact of Prince. That's dope.
And I'm a Michael Jackson fan now. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah. Now this is the big one. Zaxby's or God's Chicken?
Yeah, I can't lie, man. Look, I'm from Atlanta. It's gonna be Chick-fil-A.
Let's go.
Zaxby's got that new chicken, shawty. I'm straight. I don't do too much Zaxby's.
Hey, Mr. Kirkland, I appreciate you for your time. This was very informative, very fun. You are a character. I didn't expect you to be so funny being a scout. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Come on, man.
I really did. I thought you was about to be mundane, like we just measure, calculators and stuff. But you're a cool guy. You're a cool guy.
I appreciate that, Holmes. I appreciate it.
No problem. Now this is your time. Shout outs, to whoever you want, to your peoples, and it's all on you.
Man, obviously, the Ray Farmers of the world. Yeah, I hate everybody. I ain't got a whole bunch of shout outs. Y'all be easy. It was a pleasure. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. It was fun. And I like this kind of stuff.
Oh, man. Appreciate you for taking the time on Mr. Kirkland. Anytime I would definitely invite you on any other time if you got some news or if you want to talk some football anytime.
Yeah, you got the contact. Look your boy up.
All right. Too easy. Appreciate you, Mr. Kirkland.
All right, home. Be easy.
All right. Peace. That was James Kirkland, former NFL scout, former pro personnel. I mean, he's done it all, seen it all, been there, all that. Now, this is the thing I want, because I've seen a lot of stuff in the comments, and you guys are getting really, really emotional, okay? oh, he's not bringing up HBCU players. Oh, he's not doing this. Oh, he's not doing this. But you have to hear the gems, all right? You have to hear the gems he was dropping of how you get drafted, what they're looking for, production, your name getting out there. All those little things were nuggets dropped in this interview to let you know, hey, this is how you go about getting seen. This is how you do your part. You see what I'm saying? Of doing the best, to get your eyes on. You know what I'm saying? So if any player wants to know the process of getting looked at, they need to just clip out this film in the middle of this interview and just look at it and really break it down to what he's talking about. He said, you got to measure right. You got to have the speed. You got to test correctly. That means you can't, unless you just, Deion Sanders and you ain't got to stretch and you a cheetah and you just run. You got to know how to run a 40. So that means go to your track coach, practice form, and get yourself ready for these events. You know what I'm saying? Show out in these bowl games. You know what I'm saying? Like, who said it? I think the coach from UAPB, Coach Kenton Evans, he said, there's a difference between competing and producing. Everybody wants to compete, but do you produce? Do you show up? All right. So at the end of the day, all I'm gonna say is this: don't get so emotional about the interview because, oh my God, he didn't bring up HBCU players. See, I told you they don't look at them. That's not what he said. What he was saying is these are the tools. These are the tools, the techniques that we use as I went and got a NFL scout who's been doing this for 15 years. Are you freaking kidding me? And all you guys want to talk about in the comments is, oh my God, he didn't say anything about HBCU schools. Like, what? I brought him on here so people can learn how they have to go about getting drafted. That's the key. Giving you the knowledge so if you know better, you do better. It's just that simple. He said it's not always production. Sometimes it has to look pretty. He has to look pretty. All right. It has to know, dude. Bryant C. You probably are a former worker at McDonald's. Do you remember how they cook the fries? You don't always. This man has been scouting for 15 freaking years. He's not going to remember every single player he's got. Do you understand that? See, this is the foolishness. That's foolishness. That's somebody who's missing the message. All right. He's emotional. He's in his feelings. His wife is behind him, patting him on his back because he's probably crying right now. He don't get it. All right. So what I'm saying is at the end of the day, if you have nephews, brothers, cousins, whatever, send them the interview. Tell them to skip to wherever. I'm gonna put some timestamps in here below and tell them to watch this and understand what it is to get into the league. And also, not everybody's going to make it. So if you want to stay around football, you know what I'm saying? Just find a way to stay in football. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, once again, man, I appreciate y'all for rocking with me. I'm going to keep giving y'all as much content as possible, man. If I got to find another scout who scouts HBCU schools, I'll try to find that too. So y'all won't complain about that. All right. But I will be in Jackson, Mississippi on Thursday. Come holler at me. I am going straight to Stamps. I already told my girl she don't got no choice. She's coming to Stamps with me. Yes, you over there. She's coming to Stamps with me and all that. All right. Friday, I'll be at the camp. Holla at your boy and see me when you see me. All right. Until next time, Scotty, voice of the SWAC. You know what I'm going to do. I'm going to holla. God bless.